Assalamu alaikum, this is Nausheen Tariq. Welcome to CEO Club Pakistan. Viewers, today we have confectionery giant Mr. Hasan Ali Khan with us. He is founder of Continental Biscuit Limited. Let's unfold the success story of you in Pakistan with him. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you?
Fine, great.
Sir, please share with us your success story and milestones that made you one of the Pakistan's leading company.
Well, when I came back from the UK, I was looking to what to do. So first, I got a job. I worked in United Bank for approximately 2 years as a grade 2 officer. Then I resigned and I went to Lebanon.
Okay.
And I worked there for about 8 months with a Saad and Rad. It was a Christian family.
Okay.
And in Beirut. And basically they had the agency for Jaguar and Fiat. So I started as a salesman for them there, an English-speaking one, and worked in that company for about 8-9 months.
Okay.
And then I think this war and all broke out in the Middle East. So I got myself evacuated back to the UK, in fact. And from there I came again back to Pakistan. I didn't start with the biscuits. That came much later. It came in the 80s. But what I started was a wheat milling business. It's flour mill.
Flour mill.
Yeah. And I ran it successfully till in 1974-75 it got nationalized.
Okay.
That crazy nationalization that was done by Mr. Bhutto.
Better.
And so I went off to Dubai. I represented, I went off to the UK first and tied myself up with a group called ITC, International Timber Corporation, made doors and floorings and computer floorings and all kinds of drywall lining. It was a space where you kept all your wiring and everything. So I became their agent in Dubai, and I think it was doing pretty well, and I got into partnership with the Galadari group, and I worked there for about 3 years. And that was about the time that my mill got denationalized. So I sold that business very profitably to the group. I said,
Okay.
well, I want to go back to Pakistan, and I offer you my shares. You are already in the majority. I have 40%, you have 60%, so why don't you have the 100%? And they agreed to it, and they also agreed to pay me profits for the next 5 years.
Nice.
So that was a very good deal, extremely good deal. So I came back and took over the mill in 1979, kept running it, and I was looking for something that would be involved what I was already doing. I decided to go in for, as well, Biscuits seems to be the downstream project from flour, and 60 to 65% of the raw material that you use is flour.
Yes.
So I said, well, why not use my own flour, because I produce very good quality. I didn't want to just set up something alone by myself, because I felt that I needed technology to bring something better to the market, bring something new, which something was not present. So I went hunting. First I went to the UK. I talked to UB, United Biscuits, which was the McVitie's brand. I talked to Burton's and I saw their brands. And then I went to a company in France called General Biscuit. which within a year became Danone. Danone are the dairy giants of France and a huge multinational. And I really liked their products. I saw Tuck, I saw Prince, I saw Candy, I saw so many products that were not in the Pakistan market. And I said, well, there's no point in bringing the boring English biscuits back here because it's already there, and then I will have to be coming up with a Me Too product, and Me Too will always remain. People will prefer the original always to the Me Too. So I said, no, I will not. I had already signed an agreement with Burton's. They had signed it, I actually hadn't signed it. Thank God I hadn't. But I had that agreement signed by them. So I went to General Biscuit and I said, over a period of 6 months, I was with their technical people, I was with their marketing people. Then I remember, finally I got to meet the president. And he said, the technical chap who'd been with me all the time, he said, a great guy called Mr. Van der Linden, who's from Belgium. He said to me, you have 1.5 hours with the president. Either he's going to say yes, or he's going to say no to it. So you make the best of this 1.5 hours. So I said, are you going to be in the meeting? He says, no. There it will be his management team, his COMEX, which is the leadership team. They'll be sitting and questioning you, and he'll be listening and probably questioning you himself. So I went through that, and here is the thing that he asked me one question. He says, Monsieur Ali Khan, you have a biscuit factory? I said, no. Then he said to me, do you have any brand? I said, no. Then he says, do you have a distribution? I said, no. So he said, exactly what do you have to connect you with biscuit? I said, actually, I have nothing. So everybody paused, and then I started talking to him. Before you came to see us, he says, 6 months ago, did you ever go inside a biscuit factory? I said, no. So the first time was when you came to talk to us. I said, yes. So he said, this is like playing roulette. I'm going to put all my money on black, or I put all my money on red, and hope to win. I said, whichever one you put it on, you will win. Then, the technical person started talking to me. And the way I had really studied and learned everything up. Whatever technical questions he asked me, I answered. In marketing, whatever they asked me, I was able to answer. What impressed the president was, he said, this man has never been inside a biscuit factory until he came to see us. And whatever technical questions, they're very difficult technical questions that have been asked of him, he's answered all of them. So he said to me, you definitely do seem to have a passion. Before me, there was a very old company here, and they told me, AB Biscuits, that who had a plant, who had everything. And they went to them for a joint venture, they rejected. They rejected them. They signed a joint venture agreement with me, but told me very clearly that this is the program. You will acquire the land by this time, you'll acquire the infrastructure, you will do this, everything, timeline, signed by me. And they said, the installation, the building, the installation of the plant, all dates. I said, I'll meet them. And I did. So then we launched Lou. So I went to the advertising agency. I remember Anwar Ramal was the head, Asiatic, which is now JWT, which is a huge agency. They purchased Asiatic. So Anwar Ramal said to me, he said, what's the brand? I said, Lou. So he said, what? I said, loo. So he said, do you know what's the meaning of loo in English? And you say, I want to go to the loo. I said, I lived in England for so many years, I should know it. It's the toilet. So he said, but you can't have a name like that. And I said, well, that's L-O-O. This is L-U. He said, but it sounds the same. I said, well, Anwar, it's either this, it's their brand, it's their flagship brand. It's either this, it's a French group, it's either this or it's nothing. Now you make up your mind. Do you want the business or not? So he said, okay, I spoke that to him in Urdu because the French guy sitting with me. And he was sort of hearing the conversation. First it was in English, and then I turned it into Urdu and told him, well, ये है, ये नहीं है, तो हम फिर सब घर जाते हैं. ये आए अपना ब्रांड लॉन्च करने के लिए. ऐसा ब्रांड नहीं जो आप चाह रहे हैं. So we started, and the launch took place in 1986. And really, I must say, it was a very successful launch. I did something very correct. I knew I had to find people and good people. And I knew that if I started wrong, it would be a disaster. It would end up wrong. The most important thing was, how could I attract the best of the best to join me? And without that, I had a fantastic brand. I mean, you can see our products, they're good. I had a fantastic brand. But you need people. And you need very good people to market and sell that brand. And you need a very good technical team to produce that brand. So without that, it was a no-no. So one of the things I went and did was, I poached stole one of the top marketing men from Unilever, a guy called Nadeem Shafiqullah. He was the group product manager. And in those days, there used to be 2 group product managers reporting to the marketing director, reporting to the chairman. And he ran half the business and the other one ran the other half of the business. So I remember having a 3-hour interview with my candidate. And I interviewed him for 15 minutes for the job.
Okay.
And he interviewed me for the 2-hour, 45 minutes as to whether he wanted to work with me or not. Seriously, it was as bad as that. So he said to me, Mr. Hasan Ali Khan, my salary at Unilever is 35,000 rupees a month.
Okay.
Could you tell me, how will you pay my salary? You haven't produced one biscuit. Yes, your installation is being done and you're about to start. But I would like to know, how are you going to pay my salary? And how are you going to pay the salary of the team I'm going to bring? Obviously, you come to me, to Unilever, not just for me. You want me to bring a sales team, a brand team. You want me to bring all that with me. Exactly how do you intend to pay for it? I need to ask you this question, because a lot of other people, they have family, I have a family, and leaving Unilever and joining a company which hasn't so far produced one biscuit could turn out a disaster for all of us. I said, look, listen, Latif, the French are sending their engineers and technologists to start making the biscuits. This is the best time to do, because you will launch the product. And you do it the way you want to do it. So he said to me, I don't really think that I want to risk that. It's too much of a risk. I have a family, I have 2 kids, and he's just getting up to leave. And I just said to Nadeem, by the way, I would like just to say one thing to you. So he said, what's that? I said, Nadeem, you're very good. I know that. In fact, you're outstanding. You will become the marketing director of Unilever. You may become the chairman of Unilever. But let me tell you one thing. The edifice of Unilever is so huge that you will always remain just a reflection of it. You will be no more than a reflection. There's so many chairmen, marketing directors who've been there, retired, and gone. Nobody even remembers them because they were just a mere reflection of that huge edifice. That's it. Here you have an opportunity to launch, create a brand in the Pakistan market, and you will be remembered. You will be seen. Who launched this brand? Who's marketing this brand? Who's leading this company? Within 3 years, if you do it all successfully, you will get huge offers. I mean, I'm not asking you to launch Hasan Ali Khan Biscuits. This is Tuck, this is Prince, this is Caddy, this is chocolate cookies, huge brands. So he left. Then about a week later, I get a call. He said, I'd like to come and see you again. He said, I had decided not to join. But it is what you said to me when I was about to leave your room. That I would be just a mere reflection of the edifice of Unilever and no more than that. I don't think I want to be that. I want to be the guy who created something. So I have decided to join you. I have selected a team which I'll bring with me, both in sales and marketing. But I will not come as marketing director. I will come as executive director because I want to do other things also.
Okay. MashaAllah, this is a successful journey.
It's not easy to start an FMCG company. It is very difficult. And it is essential, if you venture into that you select the right team.
Yes.
When I started, 7 companies came in. I never took anybody from my family. And a totally professional team. They delivered. And that's the importance. It is the selection of people that makes the difference.
Selection of people play a great role in your success journey.
They play the role.
The role. So apart from your team, I would like to know what are your key strengths that make you such an effective leader?
It's very simple. You become an effective leader when you empower your managers, your employees at all levels.
Okay.
That gives them ownership. They own what they're doing. One starts interfering in everything. को जी मैं फलां दुकान पे गया था तो वो जी सही था ये था वो था. And then you hammer the guy for it. You put competent people in every sphere of the business. Let them get on. Let them run it. You must empower them. You must provide them the ability to think and work and do what they want to do. You must actually give them ownership.
Ownership.
If they don't feel they have the ownership, then they say, well, it's his thing. Let him take the whole responsibility. I do. I provide the leadership. Right?
Okay.
But I don't operate. The operations are run by the people. I drive the business, but I don't manage it.
Okay.
There's a big difference between driving the business
and managing the business.
And managing everything yourself. They're two separate things. The leader has to be the person. The leader has to be the person that selects the right people and let them manage the business.
So where do you want to see Pakistan? And what are you doing to fulfill your vision of Pakistan?
You have a population of 230 million people. 60% of them are youngsters.
Yes.
Such a country should have a huge opportunity. You don't have a dying population. The West has a dying population. They're shrinking. You don't. What my vision would be for this country is to have the right leadership to lead it. The vision we were talking about, which is very important. You have 230 million people, most of them uneducated. The only way this country can go forward is by having an educated, literate society. Otherwise, in this world, it will not go forward. So the vision should be of what kind of schools we are creating, what kind of universities we are creating. That is, and are we educating our poor? Pakistan is a very unequal society. There's us and there's them. And the them are literally miserable. I mean, they can't even get to a hospital, a doctor, nothing. I mean, people get bitten by dogs and they can't find a rabies vaccine. I mean, that is disgraceful. Disgraceful. I pay a lot of emphasis on education. And there is an IBA at Sakkar, Institute of Business Administration. I'm on the board of governors. We give 35 fully paid, inclusive of board and lodging, scholarships to very poor students. 60% to girls, and that's on purpose.
Okay.
And 40% to boys. If God has, or the people there, have made a change in my life and made me a multimillionaire, then I should also give back to that society and make a change in their lives.
Yes, and leave the impact.
And make a change in their lives, bring them up, make them better. They should not be impoverished people. That should be the vision of every decent businessman, that we bring a change in others' lives.
Sir, who is your constant source of inspirations during your journey?
Well, I think the person who's really been behind me most has been my wife. She's tolerated a lot from me. And I think that, she's always supported me. Because, that there have been also very difficult times. I have to tell you one story, which I think may be the best story about this company. A dear friend of mine, who's a collector of customs here, he said, I'm sending you somebody. He comes from a very poor, humble background. He comes from a village in Sindh called Sana. He said, I'd like him to get a Loon scholarship. And I said, okay, send him. So he came and he was interviewed by the HR. So she simply rang me on the intercom and said, well, he's failed. I said, what do you mean he's failed? I said, he's failed. She said, he will not get one of the Loon scholarships. If you want to do it, so you do it out of your own pocket, you pay. And he wanted to go to a medical school, which is most expensive. He's very poor. He comes from a very, very poor family. So I called him back. I said, now where do you want to go? He said, I'd like to go to Ziauddin. I said, okay. So he got admission. 5 years he did. He becomes a doctor. Okay. Then he does a house job, and after the house job he completes, he's working with surgeon Mumtaz Mahar at South City, doing colorectal surgery. And one day my secretary says to me, okay, Rahil Saab Tashrif laaye. I said, क्यों? कहते वो आपसे मिलना चाहते हैं. Okay. He came in. He says, Uncle, you've been very kind to me, and 5 years you've spent. So he says, I've decided to go to USA. I said, really, Rahil? So how do you intend to do that? He said, I need the visa. So I said to her, have you applied? Yes, I did. I said, what happened? He said, they rejected me. He said, if they'd given it to me, I had no need to come to you. I've only come to you because they rejected me. Huh? So I rang up Bill Martin and said, "Yeah, please give him the visa." He said, no, he won't come back. I said, I don't care. Just give him the visa, please. So he got, a few days later, he was back. Now what does he want to see me for? I sent him to medical school, got him the visa. Now what does he want to see me for? I said, right, let's get to the point. So he said, I don't have the money to get a ticket to the USA. So I called my admin department and I said, get him a one-way ticket. Don't want to see him back. So he went. After 1 year, he's back. Rahil Saab, USA se aaye, wo aapse milna cha rahe hain. I said, no. Sir, he just wants to see you for 5 minutes. I said, tell him it will be 5. It will not be 6 minutes. So now he comes in. And he says, Uncle, I'm very grateful to you. Whatever I am and whatever you, it's because of you. You sent me to USA, you got me the visa, you sent me to medical school for 5 years. I said, right, you don't need to thank me. Can we now just get to the point? What do you want to discuss with me now or see me about? I'm very busy, a lot of work to do. I really appreciate it. We just get to the point now, right now. So then he pulls out an envelope in which there's a letter. He said, I've got into a medical college and this and that, the USA. And I just wanted to show it to you and ask your advice. I said, okay, fine, you got into a medical college, go. Great. Why do you need to show it to me? I just, Uncle, I just wanted some advice. I said, what can I advise you? You're going to some Carolina or somewhere in the college or something like that, fine, or going to somewhere in Vegas, some college, it doesn't really matter. You got in, great. He says, Uncle, just read the letter, the offer. The moment you read it, I will leave this office. You won't see me again. Open it. Harvard Medical School. I looked at him. I looked at the letter. Harvard Medical School. I said, Ryan, you got into Harvard University? He said, yes. And more difficult than the university is Harvard Medical College. I said, what percentage did you have to get? He said, in the exam, you had to achieve at least 99 percentile to be called for the interview. To be called for the interview. I said, you were in the 1% from the world to Harvard. People apply from all over the world. So I was just picked up the phone. Yasin, send in the biscuits, send in the coffee, send the tea, send the camera crew here. We need to get all this. Invite his family for lunch or for tea or something. Send that HR lady. And I want to tell her, this guy is at Harvard. So I said, what are you going to be doing at Harvard? He said, I'm going to be doing cardiac surgery. I'm going to do a fellowship in cardiac surgery. I looked at him. I said, you want to become a cardiac surgeon from one of the, well, perhaps the best medical school in the world? He said, well, it's not a bad one, Uncle, I can tell you that. I said, certainly, you are really the tops. And I'm very proud of you. And he says, Uncle, it's me, it's Rahil. I said, yeah, I've got your number down. I will take your call immediately. When I see Rahil Qureshi, I will take that number immediately. So he says, Uncle, I got my fellowship and I did my residency here also. And Harvard University was very kind. They sponsored us for US nationality. So we are both now US nationals. So I won't be disturbing you for a visa ever again. But he said, you know, I've decided now to leave Harvard and I'm joining Johns Hopkins, Baltimore. I said, where? He said, Johns Hopkins, Baltimore. I said, right, that is the top hospital in the world, Johns Hopkins. Yes, he said, but I've been selected to be a resident cardiac surgeon there.
Nice.
And I am now going to be taking another fellowship. I said, in what? He said, critical cardiac surgery. Then, last thing I want to tell you, he says, and uncle, by the way, I have an offer now, once I complete this degree from Johns Hopkins, from Mount Sinai, New York Presbyterian, and from UCLA, California. $2 million a year, plus private practice. I said, Ryan, you won't be, for money's sake, you won't be meeting me. That is a story worthwhile telling.
In the end, I would like to hear a message of optimism for the youth.
If I have to give a message to the youth, nothing comes easy. You have to work for it. There is no substitute for hard work. And if you make your mind to do something and you've got the education, there's a lot of opportunity. Just passionate and hardworking.
And hard work. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.